I got the headers for the Chevy truck. There's the part number for it. Some of the reviews said that they hit the shackles. Some of them don't. Uh, some say they work with the stick shift. Some say they don't. More yes, it fits than no, it doesn't fit. So I went ahead and ordered these. My biggest concern was the Z-bar interference of whether these tubes would be designed right. So I'll show what they look like. And I also got a new welder, so now I can start welding. Finish everything up on it. But the overall design I'm really happy with. I like the clearance that they have. That's what it looks like from the side. Then I can just make my exhaust from there. They don't hang real low. And that's there is an issue on the shackle. So if you're trying to use them on a four-wheel drive truck with this part number header, you're not going to get it to work unless you want to modify it like what I'm doing. But if you just want to bolt them on, no, they're not going to work on a four-wheel drive. But the overall shaping of the tube works out really good. I got plenty of clearance around the starter, the motor mounts, and for my clutch setup. So if you're running a two-wheel drive with a manual, you got plenty of room. Even though my motors move back, you would just have even more room than what I have now. So I just gotta make the bracket to hold the Z-bar. That'd be pretty easy to do. On this power steering bracket, even if I grind it, it's still not going to fit. So I'm going to end up just cutting this, and I'll run a sleeve between the bracket and the header and a longer bolt. So I have 2 points to use to support the bottom of the alternator, because this is a alternator support. So I still got to fix this side. But how they come out of the box, that's all the clearance that you have. I ended up turning the bolts around, and then I got a grade 8 bolt from Ace, which has a little bit shorter head on it, so it gives you a little bit more room, but not a whole lot of room. Obviously, if you're going back and forth, I'm sure it's going to tap against it. Then on the passenger side, the only reason there's a gap that big is because I modified this header. When I first put it on there, the header was completely on the shackle. I had no bolt in there, and I still needed to come to the other side of the shackle to be able to tighten the header all the way against the head. So this is definitely does not fit on the passenger side. But after I modified it, you can see I have a bunch of room. It's 3/4 of an inch between the header and the bolt. It's more than enough than what I need. I got plenty of clearance on the starter, so I might tweak it a little bit more, but that's enough room. I can put my hand in between there, so I doubt it'll ever hit. But as far as the modification, I ended up cutting the tubes and then put all the bolts in there, make them snug, kind of push on the collector itself, get it going, tighten the bolts up, push on the collector, tighten them up again. And I just worked it to where I had it where I wanted, and I wasn't just tweaking the whole thing. So now I could just take the welder and I'll fill in the gap going all the way back. But filling in the gap, I'll just take a copper tube, stick it in there, MIG weld, go all the way around, just so I don't have a big slop of stuff that I gotta fix on the inside. Then I will take my porting bit and I'll port the inside of the tube, smooth it out, get rid of all the welding. The porting bits blast through steel really easy. So $25 from Eastwood, well worth it. But I didn't just take a hacksaw and just cut these. I mean, I did a little bit into it. I tried to find the straightest point on all the tubes, which ended up being about 3/4 of an inch, somewhere around there. So instead of getting square tubing, whatever, I just found a big bolt that I could use, and I put the bolt on there so it was flat against the header mounting and then flush up against the tube itself. And then I just used a hacksaw blade and marked it as I went, going all the way around to about pretty much 3/4 of the tube. And I did that on every tube so that they are all evenly scribed, so I can make my cut instead of cutting it at an angle and now it's thinner here and wider up here. So it's kind of mark it like that, which is just taking a saw blade and as I go scribe it. Then I notched it so that my hacksaw blade would stay in there on the sawzall, and took the sawzall and finished cutting it. I didn't cut it all the way through it because if I cut them all the way off, this would just turn into a big nightmare. So I left a little bit on the bottom of each tube. They're not cut all the way through. You don't need to cut them all the way through either. You can bend it pretty easy. But now, since I did it that way and since they're all even, there's a brake pad measuring tool. 5mm. They're all at 5mm. So it's the same gap all the way back on each one, so everything's even. And then I will just weld them all back together. So it was just a little bit of a gap. I mean, they figure 5mm here, it gives me 3/4 of an inch down there. It's easy to weld up and fix. I mean, if you don't have a welder, you could at least do this and then take it to a welding shop and have them weld it. That's how I fixed it. I like the header design altogether, so I couldn't really justify sending the headers back just to get another set of headers that probably be doing the same thing. Yeah, this works for me. They're brand new out of the box, so if you don't want to cut brand new headers, then you'd have to try a different set of headers. But I don't care. I'll cut something brand new as long as I can get it to work how I want it to work. Then I got my AC box in there. Got some of the AC pieces. I couldn't find a chrome diff for a 60, other than some aftermarket ones, which I wasn't real impressed with. I don't really like them. So I continued sanding on it. I still got to go over it with 1200 and then buff it out from there. The little hole is going to be my new fill hole. I'm going to keep that lower one, just put the drain plug back in there. But I'm going to drill that out to a bigger so I can fill this up higher than stock because it's angled so far forward, and I need to keep oil to the rear of it. So I'll probably end up welding a nut on the inside and just add the drain plug. And then I can fill it up so it's where it needs to be. And then on the front springs, I tightened them down, and this was all smushed. That's what they say, just tighten them down. I didn't like it, so I had to bend them back out, and then I just got some washers, put the washers in there and tighten it down. I like the way it looks. Do I need to do it? No, I just wanted to do it that way. So that's how I did it. Then I got the cowl panels on. Lines up pretty good. The one video with the fenders, I ended up cutting this section out of these new fenders, and then this is the old fender welded back into it. So they line up pretty good. And that's it.